Captain America throws his mighty shield. All those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. If he's led to a fight and a duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with the world's shortest haul video. I just have 2 books to show off today, so let's get right to them. As you all know, I've been slowing down a little bit on my pickups, going after kind of bigger books and such. So, and then I'm also got my sights set on a Golden Age run, so got big things coming up. But for today, one of these is checking off a not an official want list item, but anyway, first thing we have up is Champions #1. And I really wanted this book because I think it's a cool cover. I like Ghost Rider, Iceman, Black Widow, Angel, Hercules. It's pretty tough. Not a perfect condition book, but right in my wheelhouse. And I love that good centering that you need to have on these Marvel Bronze Age books. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Nice and even. So there's my one book, right? So. And then next we'll get to the one that I was very excited to get. It was an eBay win. And the reason it was on my list was because I was looking for a Stan Lee signature. And so we have Captain America 103, signed by Stan Lee. And it's a CGC yellow label in one of the old cases. So this is a, it was signed in 2013. So I'm happy for that. It's got a little bit of Newton ring action going on here. So it's funny because people act like Newton rings are a new thing. They're not new. This case is from 2013, we can assume, since it was signed and yellow labeled. So Newton rings are not new. You can kind of, I'll try and get it for you, but it doesn't show up much on camera. And they're not real pronounced, but they're there. But anyway, this is the old style case. I really hate these cases. Like, they're kind of flimsy. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're kind of flimsy. They're very thin. The label is on the outside, so that's a sticker that is just like hanging on, and it'll come off eventually. It's very thin. It's very like a smoky kind of plastic. It's not very clear. And really, to me, it's very much on par with the CBCS cases, which I also don't care for. So, really, honestly, and I know everybody knocks them, but I think that the new CGC case is by far the best. And second best is the PGX case. You know, I don't care what you say. I think they could do a better job sealing the PGX cases because they're always kind of open on the sides. But as far as the quality of the plastic or the acrylic, I think that CGC does better. I'm sorry, PGX does better than the old CGC cases or the CBCS cases. So you'll notice here, because it's an old case, it has that kind of faded 6.5. Everything is kind of washed out on it, and there's a few scuffs and scratches on the case, which kind of make it look like it's on the book, but the book is in pretty good shape. Well, 6.5. So there you go, Captain America 103. The reason that I picked this book out of the many, you know, available Stan Lee signatures, because now that most of the, you know, rush to get a Stan Lee signed item is over, these books have all come back down to earth. The only ones that are still really expensive are main keys. So if it's a key book and signed by Stan Lee, then they still have held a higher value. My goal was to get a book for under $300, signed by Stan Lee with a yellow label, and I wanted a CGC Witness yellow label. So that was my goal. Now I didn't care for this label, but as I'll get to in a minute, there was several things I was looking for. One was a nice clean signature, because as you know, some of his later signatures and even some early signatures were pretty rough. Smudged together or just didn't look like a classic Stan Lee signature. This looks like a great Stan Lee signature, and it has is written in silver, and almost all his signatures are written in black. And well, when you see them, you know, especially the older ones, and they just don't look as good in black. And he has terrible, he's always been known for terrible placement on books. His signatures are always in a terrible spot. So to find a book with good signature placement, where it kind of looks like Red Skull is even holding up the signature, to find a book with good signature placement, good color ink that wasn't going to get washed out in the background. Like I've seen him sign black on black. Like he'll sign his name across this black spot here. You can't even read it. So I'm glad that wasn't the case. And then I also wanted a book that he had more to do with than just, Stan Lee Presents. A lot of people fuss about, I see it all the time, especially on Facebook, people asking the question, why would, I don't understand why anyone would get just every book signed by Stan Lee that he had nothing to do with. Well, in my opinion, if it says presented by Stan Lee on the splash page, or Stan Lee Presents on the splash page, then he had something to do with it, But so I think that argument's kind of crappy, and kind of I don't care for when people say that. But I wanted something that he actually wrote. First and foremost, he was a writer, and then of course the media blitz and all that stuff that he did. But really, he was a writer. So this is a Stan Lee story. I wanted a Jack Kirby cover with a Stan Lee story. That was my goal. So here's a Jack Kirby and Sid Shores cover and Stan Lee story. So that was the main thing. And what's also nice is that there is a variant to this book, which I also have. I showed it in a haul recently, and it's this one here. This is the blue shield variant. So if you see there, cap shield is blue. When I first saw that, I thought it was someone had marked in the book. But so this is my copy of 103. And this is my new copy, and the shield is white. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, now I have both. So that's exciting too, because for all the slab books I have, I like to have a reader copy. So there you go, I got a reader copy too. It doesn't happen with all my books, but for some of them, or a reprint or something like that. So glad to have this. I've already printed out the shipping information, and this book's going back to CGC for a new holder. Not a bad deal. They have like 25. I think it's like $15 for a new holder. Of course, you got to pay shipping. And then I also they're going to maintain. I spoke to them this morning. They're going to maintain the yellow label. All they do is they take the inner well and they leave it intact, so the grade won't change. So they take the inner well out. They don't mess with it. They inspect it to make sure no one else has messed with it, but they don't do anything else to the book in the inner well. They just take it out. And then they put it in a new holder, and they put a new grade, and they put a new label with the same grade and the same serial number too. It's a replacement. So it'll have the same serial number, so it doesn't mess with the census or anything like that. And then it'll be in the new holder and a new case and new label, and it's going to look great. And I went ahead and had the Captain America label put on there because I thought it really looked cool, and I brought some more of the red and blue up here, which this is all real black and yellow. So I brought more red and blue, and it matches that shield really well. So it's going to have a nice cap spot up there. And since it's not a major key book, because a lot of times they'll have, what happens is when you get those new custom labels done, they move the key information to the back of the label. Or this book doesn't really have a whole lot of key information, just says Red Skull appearance and 2 color variants exist, which I own, right? Then they will just put that information on the back label. So, which is fine because that's not real major information. But like if this was the first appearance of someone or a major deal, then that would end up on the back label, and you'd probably want that on the front. So this is a perfect book to get a little extra custom label put on there. And it's for my personal collection, so it's the way I like it. That's it. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time on BUB'S Comics. We'll have a few more books. I got plenty on the way. So, all right, we'll talk to you later. Read a comic. Bye.